So this is called as our sliding mesh gearbox. In this one there are basically two shafts. This is called as the main shaft and this is called as the lay shaft. So here we will be having some clutch arrangement. What is the function of clutch? The function of the clutch is to engage and disengage the two shafts. Whenever this clutch is operated or it is in the engaged position, what will happen is this gear A will be in contact with this gear B, and whenever it is disengaged, what will happen? There is no contact between A and B. Now let us assume that it is in contact. When it is in contact, the gear A will be rotating with certain RPM, and because of that the gear B will be in rotation at certain RPM. Now this is a shaft called as lay shaft, and on the lay shaft we can see that there are no grooves like this. इसमें ग्रू दिख रहा है क्या आपको? मेन shaft पे groove is one more line we can see in this diagram. So there are no grooves provided on the lay shaft, means the gears are lay shaft. The gears are rigidly fixed on this. I cannot slide these gears. These are fixed. While the gears on the main shaft can be shifted. Now, when it is rotating, there is no, see this is our input shaft and this is our output shaft. Can you see this portion? This is output and this is the input. Now, when I am going for the applying the first gear, what I will do is I will be having certain sliding arrangement and I will be pushing this gear D such that it is making an engagement with gear C. Gear D will be making an engagement with gear C. So this gear C D can be slided in the leftward direction so that it is in contact with gear C. Are you getting? Now assume that we are taking this gear D and bringing it so that it is touching gear C. Now look at the arrangement. NA is smaller gear, it is rotating with say 1000 RPM. NB is larger gear, if it is 4 times larger than A, so it will rotate with 250 RPM because it is larger. When it is rotating with 250 RPM, this entire shaft will rotate with 250 RPM. बराबर है? And also this gear C will be rotating with 250 RPM. When it is in contact with gear D, it is rotating with 250 RPM and this gear D is slightly larger than gear C. बराबर है? If it is rotating with 250 RPM, it may rotate with lesser RPM than gear C because it is larger. So let us say that it will rotate with 200 RPM gear D. So in the first gear what we have done, the input provided was 1000 RPM, is it not? And how much output we are getting? 200 RPM. So what we are doing? We are reducing the speed. So in case of your car or two-wheelers, whenever you are putting the first gear, what will happen? The speed will be very less, but you will be having a higher torque. So whenever there is uphill, तब आप क्या करेंगे? You will be going for lower gears. So when you are starting the vehicle, you will be always putting the first gear. so that it will attain certain speed. So in the first gear, what will happen? Torque will be maximum, speed will be minimum,
Lower.
lower. Now, similarly, for this, after putting the first gear, again this will be disengaged and move to this original position. Now, if I want to put the second gear, what I will do is I will bring this gear F to gear E. I will move this second gear on this side so that it is touching gear E. When gear E and F are in contact, now let us see what will happen. Gear F and E are in contact in the second gear. See, it is rotating with 1000 rpm. It is rotating with 250 rpm like in the previous case. Whole shaft is rotating with 250 rpm. The gear E is also rotating with 250 rpm. Is it not? If it is rotating with 250 rpm, now compare gear E and F. F is slightly smaller than E. If it is rotating with 250 rpm, how much will be speed of F? It will be slightly
It,
larger than 250 because it is smaller. Let us say 300 rpm. Okay. So in the second gear, what we have done? We are converting this 1000 rpm into 300 rpm. In the first case, what we have done? We are converting 1000 rpm into 200 rpm. In the second case, we are converting 1000 rpm into 300 rpm. So what is the difference between first and second gears? In the second gear, my speed is increased. Is it not?
increases.
Increase,
Yes.
and the torque carrying capacity will decrease. Because one thing you have to remember, the power carried by a shaft will always remain constant. P is constant if we are neglecting all the mechanical losses. P is given by 2 pi nt by 60, where n is speed in rpm, T is torque carried by the gear in Newton meters. So if I am increasing n, T torque decreases. If I am decreasing n, torque increases. Like this, if I go on putting third gear, what will happen? The speed of the shaft will further increase and the torque carrying capacity will decrease. Now similarly, for the reverse gear, they are having one more arrangement, that is they are using one more idle gear. The function of this idle gear is just to change the direction of rotation. It will do nothing, it will just change the direction of rotation. So if I am taking this gear D and instead of moving on this side, C side, if I push this one on this side, right side, so that it is in touch with the idle gear, what will happen? The direction of rotation will be changed. So instead of the vehicle moving in the forward direction, our vehicle will start to move in the reverse direction using this
Reverse direction.
idle gear. Now everything is fine in this one, but what is the problem? See, if you are looking at this arrangement, whenever I want to change the gears, what I have to do? I have to stop all the gears, then engage the proper gear and again start the motion. Suppose I am using this for a car. We will putting the first gear and you are moving the car. Now if you want to change the gear to the second gear, is it possible to make all these stationary? It is not possible, is it not? because your car is already moving. So in that case, I cannot use, in case of automobiles, such a sliding mesh gearbox. So this is used only in stationary applications, like in certain construction applications and in certain machineries where we can completely turn on and off the machines or the motions. See, one application where I can use is, you assume that you have to uh, pick a load of 1000 kgs in one case, and in the second case you have to pick a load of 500 kgs, and in the third case you have to pick a load of 100 kgs. So when you want to lift a load of 1000 kgs, what you require more? You require maximum torque, is it not? बराबर है ना?
Yes sir, torque maximum चाहिए.
So torque maximum चाहिए. In that case we will be going for the first gear. फर्स्ट गियर में क्या होगा? आपका काम धीरे धीरे होगा लेकिन हो जाएगा काम. Now if you want to lift say only 100 kgs, if you are putting the first gear, then also it will pick the load, no doubt, but what will happen? आपका टाइम वेस्ट हो जाएगा ना. Unnecessarily you are wasting more torque and you are not utilizing that in terms of speed. Instead of keeping the same gear, if you are shifting the gear further, like if you are putting in third or fourth gear, what you can do? You can pick the load of 100 kgs but with the higher speed. Are you getting? So that
Yes sir.
your work can be